New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live. I'm Amit Mukherjee, India's voice to the world. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. India's External Affairs Minister holds bilateral talks with Maldivian counterpart, discusses India-Maldive ties, also discusses the withdrawal of Indian military personnel. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu reiterates rejection of Palestinian statehood as part of any post-conflict scenario. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi to inaugurate the state-of-the-art Boing India Engineering and Technology Centre campus in South Indian city of Bengaluru. Southern Indian state of Tamil Nadu is all set to host its first ever Khelo India Games. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will inaugurate the 6th edition of Khelo India Youth Games in Chennai. India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar on Thursday met his Maldivian counterpart Musa Zamir on the margins of NAM summit in Uganda's Kampala. The two leaders had a frank conversation on ties between the two countries. They also discussed non-aligned movement-related issues. On his part, Maldivian Foreign Minister said that the two sides exchanged views on the ongoing high-level discussion on the withdrawal of Indian military personnel, as well as expediting the completion of the ongoing development of projects in the Maldives and cooperation with SAARC and NAM. He said that both sides are committed to further strengthening and expanding our cooperation. Earlier back home, MEA spokesperson Randeep Jaiswal said India and Maldives had talks for a mutually workable solution to ensure the continued operation of Indian aviation platform that are providing humanitarian services. He added that during a core group meeting, both countries discussed about various aspects of the bilateral relationship.
Regarding Maldives, Siddhant, you would have seen that on 14th we had a meeting of the core group. In the core group, we had detailed discussions on several aspects of the bilateral relationship. We also made available what was discussed in the meeting through a press release. And then in that press release, we mentioned that both sides held discussions on finding mutually workable solution to enable continued operation of Indian aviation platforms that provide humanitarian and midvac services to the people of Maldives. The next meeting is to be held in India to take discussion forward. Regarding projects in Maldives, obviously the core group meeting happened on 14th. On our part, we remain committed to our projects to take them forward. We have been an important development partner of Maldives. We remain committed to doing all things that we can do as a development partner of Maldives in keeping with their priorities.
Now, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar also met counterparts from Angola, Belarus and Egypt. He held a good meeting with Angolan Foreign Minister Tete Antonio. The two leaders discussed the expanding India-Angola and India-Africa cooperation. They also spoke about the cooperation in multilateral fora. Jaishankar thanked Antonio for extending visa-free arrangement for Indian nationals. Dr. Jaishankar held a useful meeting with Foreign Minister Sergei Alink. The two leaders exchanged views on India-Belarus cooperation in various fields. They also discussed developments pertaining to the Ukrainian conflict. Dr. Jaishankar also expressed delight to meet Egyptian Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry. He appreciated Sameh's assessment and insights on the ongoing conflict in Gaza. They also noted the continued progress of our bilateral cooperation following the exchange of visits of our leaders in 2023. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar will lead the Indian delegation at the 19th Summit of the Non-Aligned Movement, NAM, in Kampala. The two-day NAM Summit will begin today in Uganda, capital Kampala. The 19th NAM Summit will focus on deepening cooperation for shared global affluence and will bring together more than 120 developing countries. The summit will be preceded by deliberations at the ministerial and senior official levels. Now, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has told the United States that he objects the establishment of any Palestinian statehood as part of any post-conflict scenario that did not guarantee Israel's security. In a nationally broadcast news conference on Thursday, Netanyahu emphasized that Israel must have security control over the entire territory west of Jordan River.
For 30 years, I have been very consistent, and I say a simple thing. This conflict is not about the absence of a state, a Palestine state, but the existence of a state, a Jewish state. Therefore, I clarify that in any arrangement in the foreseeable future, with an accord or without an accord, the state of Israel must have security control over the entire territory west of the Jordan River. That's a necessary condition.
Now, Iran-backed Houthi militia launched 2 anti-ship ballistic missiles at a US-owned tanker ship on Thursday night that hit the water near the vessel. The latest incident caused no injuries or damage. The United States launched additional strikes early on Thursday targeting 2 Houthi anti-ship missiles that were being deemed an imminent threat to the shipping and US Navy vessels in the region. Earlier, in the second attack this week on a US-operated vessel in the region, the Genco Picardy came under attack in the Gulf of Aden late on Wednesday, sparking a fire on board and prompting the Indian Navy to rescue the crew. India diverted a warship deployed in the region to rescue the 22 crew on board the Genco Picardy, including 9 Indians. The crew were all safe and the fire was extinguished. Deputy Pentagon Press Secretary Sabrina Singh, at a briefing Thursday, said that the US is not at war with Houthis in Yemen. She added that it is acting in self-defense in response to attacks on vessels in the Red Sea.
No, we don't seek war. We don't think that we are at war. We don't want to see a regional war. The Houthis are the ones that continue to launch cruise missiles, anti-ship missiles, at innocent mariners, at commercial vessels that are just transiting an area that sees 10 to 15% of the world's commerce. The U.S. is what we are doing with our partners is self-defense.
Now, tit-for-tat strikes between Iran and Pakistan have raised the risk of escalation in the West Asia. It also came a day after Iran launched attacks in Iraq and Syria, which it said targeted Israeli espionage and Islamic State operations.
Iran sent shockwaves around the region on Tuesday with a missile strike against what it described as hardline Sunni Muslim militants in southwest Pakistan. 2 days later, Pakistan in retaliation attacked what it said were separatist militants in Iran. The first airstrike on Iranian soil since the 1980-88 Iran-Iraq war.
This morning, Pakistan undertook a series of highly coordinated and specifically targeted precision military strikes against terrorist hideouts in Sistan-o-Baluchistan province of Iran.
Tuesday's strike was one of Iran's toughest cross-border assaults on the Sunni militant Jaish al-Adl group in Pakistan, which it says has links to Islamic State, though both the neighbors appear to want to try to contain the strains.
و برادر ما پاکستان.
Pakistan is our neighborly country, our friend and our brother. It was not the target of Iran's drones and missiles. The so-called group Jaish al-Adl, which is an Iranian terrorist group, has taken refuge in Pakistani territory, and we have discussed this topic many times with high-ranking military, security and political officials of Pakistan. They have operated within Iran in the previous days.
According to Brookings Institution's Vice President and Director of Foreign Policy Suzanne Meloni, the move deepened worries about West Asia instability that have spread since the Israel-Hamas conflict erupted in October.
Well, I would expect that the frictions along the border with Pakistan are not likely to escalate. They will continue to create political tensions between the two governments, but both governments have other issues to deal with, and this will, it would be highly unusual if this were to rise to a very significant breach or an escalation of the violence. I think the larger conflict that is consuming the Middle East is the one that is directly related to the war in Gaza, and the extent to which the Islamic Republic of Iran has mobilized its allies and proxies across the region to try to demonstrate that it can continue to wield influence and power without actually getting directly involved in the violence itself.
Iran's strikes are also intended to show its influence in the context of the regional crisis over Gaza.
Now, a day after the murder of Ecuadorian prosecutor Cesar Suarez in Guayaquil, two men were arrested by the police of Suarez. The late leader was handling prosecution charge sheet against organized crime cases in Guayas. The rifle, 2 pistols and 2 vehicles were seized during the raids by the police. While the search for 2 other shooters is still underway, police claim that criminals belonged to a notorious group already classified as terrorist organization. Following the nationwide violent outbreak in Ecuador, a raid was conducted by the security forces at Guayaquil prison. Video footage showed inmates face down on the ground as guards carried out inspections. The Ecuadorian army and police carried out several prison raids throughout the country since last week after a violent outbreak. Beginning a planned 36-hour flight to the orbiting laboratory, Turkey's first astronaut, 3 other crew members representing Europe set off on a voyage to the International Space Station from Texas startup Axiom Space from Florida on Thursday. A SpaceX Crew Dragon capsule carrying the Axiom quartet lifted off about an hour before NASA's sunset, NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Cape Canaveral. Cameras inside the crew compartment showed footage of the 4 men strapped into their pressurized cabin in helmeted white and black flight suits, and the rocket soared towards the space. This was the 3rd such flight organized by the Houston-based Axiom over the past 2 years, as the company builds on the business of putting astronauts sponsored by foreign governments and private enterprises into the Earth's orbit. Now let's take a look at some of the other stories making news across the globe. 132 migrants arrived in Guatemala City after being deported from Mexico on Thursday, the Guatemalan Migration Institute reported. The migrants are part of the group of 726 found in a warehouse in the central Mexican state of Tlaxcala. A doll's house made for the British monarch will mark 100 years with a special exhibition throughout 2024 from Thursday at Windsor Castle. It is the largest in the world according to Britain's Royal Collection. The completed house was the product of 250 craftspeople and manufacturers, 60 artists, decorators, 700 artists, 600 writers, and 500 donors. Renowned cellist Nicholas Altheids gave a performance in front of a Swiss glacier and a small crowd in Davos on Thursday on the sidelines of the World Economic Forum to spark hope despite the climate crisis. Ocean warming and frequent storms are threatening world's largest pygmy penguin colony situated in Australia's Phillip Island. Biologists have constructed shelters and small nets and have controlled the population of foxes, the primary predators, to protect the seabird species once they verge on the verge of extinction. Still to come up on the edition of DD India Live, India's Prime Minister Modi to inaugurate and lay foundation stone of multiple development projects in the city of Solapur in Maharashtra. Indian diaspora organizes car rally in USA's Cincinnati, expressing spirit and excitement of Lord Ram's consecration ceremony. An Indian duo of Satwik Chirag continues winning streak at the Indian Open Super 750 series. HS Pranoy crushes budding shuttler Priyanshu Rajawat.
We just don't bring you the news as it unfolds. We get to the heart of the matter.
We don't just present facts. We demystify complex social, political, and economic events.
We break stories that shape the world's present and future because you deserve the truth.
I am Tanvi Taneja from New Delhi.
I'm Ollie Barrett from London.
I'm Nick Harper from Washington, D.C.
Join us on DD India Global Monday to Friday at these times.
You're watching DD India Live. I'm Amit Mukherjee. Back home, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will visit the states of Maharashtra, Karnataka and Tamil Nadu on 19 January. Prime Minister Modi will inaugurate and lay the foundation stone of multiple development projects in the city of Solapur in Maharashtra.
Nothing is more beautiful than a smile that has struggled through tears. These women are among the 15,000 families of Solapur district in the western state of Maharashtra, who will now be owners of the newly constructed flats under PM Awas Yojana.
आज हमारा पूरा सपना करने जा रहे हैं रे नगर में देख के ऐसा दिल हमारा खुश हुआ कि पूछने की बात नहीं क्या खुशी से क्या बोलेंगे क्या नहीं ऐसा हमको समझ भी नहीं आ रहा
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया है हमारे को जो आज हमारा सपना पूरा करे आज हमारा एक सपना था कि हम घर खरीदे सके वो ये चारों ने और प्रधानमंत्री योजना से हमारे को मिले सर
This housing project in Raynagar is not only the largest in the country but also a success story of double engine ki sarkar in itself. According to Maharashtra Housing and Area Development Authority, that's MADA, this greenfield project is a grand success under the scheme.
पंतप्रधान आवास योजना के अंतर्गत में रेनगर सोलापुर कुंभारी गांव में इस प्रकल्प की भूमि पूजन जो है वो माननीय पंतप्रधान जो हमारे हैं श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी इनके शुभ हस्ते 2019 में किया गया था। उसके बाद पूरा प्रक्रिया करने के बाद में ये चूंकि पब्लिक प्राइवेट पार्टनरशिप में है तो उसका पूरा प्रस्ताव करने के बाद में CSMC का अप्रूवल लेने के बाद यहाँ पे टोटल 833 बिल्डिंग G+2 बनाने का प्रस्तावित था जिसमें टोटल 30,000 घरें बनने वाले थे और अभी पहला टप्पा में 15,024 घर ये तैयार हो चुकी है 411 बिल्डिंग तैयारी हो चुकी है और इसका लोकार्पण जो है वो 19 तारीख को हमारे देश के माननीय पंतप्रधान श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी इनके शुभ हस्ते हमारे राज्य के माननीय मुख्यमंत्री और दोनों ही उप मुख्यमंत्री इनके उपस्थिति में होने वाली है।
The Indian Prime Minister will also meet beneficiaries of PM Swanidhi Yojana and will lay foundation stone for water and sewage system project for 7 municipal corporations under Amrit Yojana.
स्टेट का तत्कालीन मुख्यमंत्री देवेंद्र फडणवीस इन्होंने मन में कुछ नहीं रहते हुए इस स्कीम को आगे बढ़ाया, नुस्खा आगे बढ़ाया नहीं, अभी लोगों को मकान मिल रहा है। इतना बड़ा सरकार ने किया है, उनका ही मैं आभारी हूँ। और उनके जरिए से प्राइम मिनिस्टर नरेंद्र मोदी से उनका बहुत बार चर्चा हुआ, वो भी तैयार हुए। ऐसे 30,000 का मकान आज लोगों को जो मिल रहा है उससे पीछे का राज्य है।
According to last national census in 2011, Solapur has a population of 9,50,000, 80% of whom live in slum areas. The way Prime Minister Awas Yojana has aggressively been implemented in all over the country, it seems that the new census will bring a clear picture of new India. With my colleague Rohan Gavli, this is Yogesh Kumar Seetal from Maharashtra for DD India.
Now, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will inaugurate a state-of-the-art Boing India Engineering and Technology Centre campus in Bengaluru on Friday. The 43-acre campus is Boeing's largest such investment outside the US. Boeing's new campus in India will help develop the next-generation products and service for the global aerospace and defense industry. Now we get to you all the buzz being generated in the build-up to the consecration of the Ram temple at the Indian temple town of Ayodhya on 22nd January. Now, today marks the 5th day of the rituals in the run-up to the consecration of the Ram temple in Ayodhya. Various events are being organized across the country in honor of the consecration ceremony in Ayodhya. A vibrant laser show was organized in the Eastern Indian state of Gujarat, the Western Indian state of Gujarat. The laser show projected pictures of Lord Ram and was organized in Surat. The spirit and excitement of Lord Ram's consecration ceremony in the Indian temple city of Ayodhya has moved beyond borders. Now in the US, the Indian diaspora along with many Hindu religious groups organized a car rally in Cincinnati. Over 50 cars decorated with bright yellow flags began the rally from a temple. The car rally was organized in support of the mega event taking place on January 22nd. Now on to some sports news now. The 6th edition of Khelo India Youth Games is all set to witness a glittering opening ceremony in the southern state of Tamil Nadu. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will inaugurate the Khelo India Youth Games on Friday. Khelo India Youth Games, which is taking place in South India for the very first time, will witness the participation of around 5,000 athletes from all across India who would showcase their skills to bag the top honours. Now in badminton, HS Prannoy defeated fellow Indian Priyanshu Rajawat in a thrilling 3-game match 20-22, 21-14, 21-14 in the men's single pre-quarterfinals of the Indian Open Super 750 series. Chirag Shetty and Satwa Siraj into the men's doubles quarter finals beginning Chinese Taipei's Lu Qiangyao and Yang Po Han 21-14, 21-15. The Indian duo will next face Anders Skarp Ramisen and Kim Astrup of Denmark for a semi-final spot. Now that's all for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect us on Facebook, X formerly and on Twitter and Instagram as well. We'll be back with more news as it breaks on DD India. I'm Amit Mukherjee. From all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.